School uniforms. Are they worth it? Well, you could decide. Um, I'm pretty sure most of you have probably taken a written essay that would probably ask you, are you for or against casual clothes or school uniforms? And I can see it from both sides. I'm not really against or for either side. Really, I could care less. Like, not that I don't care. It's just, I mean, it. I can understand both points of the argument pretty pretty much. So what do you think? One of the arguments for a school uniform is that it makes you look and act smart. And I I have to disagree on that one to a certain extent. I mean, it might make you look smart because, you see if you see one normal student wearing whatever the kids wear these days, and you see um, a student wearing a school uniform, you're going to automatically assume, oh, he must be in some private school or something, so he must be smart because he's got a school uniform. And, that's pretty much where you get most school uniforms is at a private school. And, you know, so it might make you look smart, except for if every school did do school uniforms, then it really wouldn't do anything other than announce that you're a student. Because if every school does it, then it loses that, oh, this must be a prestigious school because it has a school uniform. It loses that if every school had it. So, yeah. And another thing is, a lot of people say they like casual clothes, they're cooler, and they allow them to express themselves, and I have to agree with that point. Yes, if you wear casual clothes, it allows you to express who you are and what you're like, you know, and they probably are more comfortable. As you can probably tell, school uniforms are a bit stiff, at least when you first get into them. I'm pretty, cause I mean, I'm pretty sure after a while you'd get used to it and it really wouldn't bother you that much though. But yeah, they say casual clothes are better because they allow you to express yourself. Personally, if if you're school, or at least my school says you can't have hats because it's too distracting, and it says you can't have you're not allowed to have sleeveless shirts, although that's probably for a different reason. And but yeah, they say no hats, and I think there's some other regulations in the dress code. So, but I personally can't really understand that. Like, how is a hat really distracting unless it's like one of those big top hats that, ridiculously huge? Those could be distracting. But how is it any more distracting than a shirt could be, or a normal pair of pants can be? I mean, if students are going to manage to get distracted. It doesn't matter what you take away, if they have a hat or not. They're going to manage to get distracted. Granted, if the hat's getting in someone's, way, like someone sitting behind you can't see because you're wearing a huge hat, then yeah, I would suggest taking it off. But really, they say it's because I think it's because they figure, oh, well, all the bad kids must be wearing hats, and they don't want kids to judge other kids, and they don't want adults judging kids, so they tell them to lose the hats. But I mean, personally, that isn't that a form of expressing yourself, a hat? So if they're going to take hats and other things away, they might as well just take away all the shirts and generals, because shirts have words on them, and sometimes those words are expressing opinions. And of course, you need a shirt. So obviously, they're not going to say no shirts, no shirts, no shoes, no service. But you know what I mean? If I say either you take all forms of letting them express yourselves or you let them express themselves. You don't do either or. But that's just my personal opinion. Another argument is that, well, how are you supposed to know who you're going to like if they're all wearing the same thing? this is probably the stupidest argument I've ever heard. Because if you're judging people by what they're wearing, then that kind of makes you judgmental. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've never judged someone by the label of what kind of shirt they have. And I know there are people that do this, but it's like one of the stupidest things you can do because some of my some of my really good friends don't really have the nicest of shirts because their family can't afford to go buy $100 t-shirts for a whole closet or even any $100 t-shirts. I have a pretty good mix. I've got some brand name shirts, but I've also got plain Walmart shirts, and I don't really care. It really doesn't bother me. This one person at school, this one girl, I don't really know her name, but you know, never seems to notice me if I wear a Walmart shirt. But the second I wear a South Pole shirt, hey, I like that shirt. And I'm like, every time I wear that South Pole shirt, she notices me, but never any other time. And that shows me that's how I know people will judge you by what you wear. And that's a stupid argument. How am I supposed to know who I'm going to be friends with if I don't see what kind of clothes they wear? Don't judge people by the clothes they wear. In fact, that's one pro I see towards school uniforms. Because if they have school uniforms, then they're going to actually have to go find a person they like, no matter what they're wearing, because they're all wearing the same thing. So they're going to have to actually like the person for who they are and not what they're wearing, because everyone's wearing the same thing. So yeah, I would say pro school uniforms on that one. A school uniform is safer. They say it's safer because you can't hide as many weapons in it. That's not true. I saw a video on YouTube. I know that's not a very good source, but this is a pretty real video where two videos. One was one where this kid with baggy pants. It showed him holding the max amount of weapons he could hold, and no one would notice. And it was like a tabletop full. But then I saw another one with someone with a school uniform, and they hid more weapons. Some of them were including a sword, like a really long broadsword, like the kind you King Arthur's time, a machine gun's parts, two pistols, a revolver, a bunch of knives. They could hold more with the school uniform. Of course, I'm sure you probably could actually fit more in the baggier clothes, maybe. But it still proves a point that school uniforms are not safer than, and much safer, if any, than normal baggy clothes. So sorry, school uniforms are not safer at all. Um, and my last thing to say is some people say, well, it would be okay if the school uniforms were more stylish. And my answer is no, it wouldn't be okay because a school, how do I put this? Is a um style is a constantly changing thing. It it never stays the same, or else we'd still be seeing people with uh those huge bell-bottom pant legs from the 80s, and those huge sunglasses from I think the 70s. Style is always changing. So if they said, well, if we make the school uniforms more stylish looking, eventually, probably within less than a year, that stylish school uniform is going to be less stylish. Granted, it's going to look better than what you didn't like before, but it's going to lose its importance of it being stylish. So to say, well, it'd be okay if we had school uniforms if they were more stylish, it's not going to be that stylish after you get used to it. So what do you think? You for or against school uniforms?